and CRV. Who wins? 96% of Forester vehicles sold in the last 10 years are still on the road today. That's more than the RAV4 or CRV.
Get special low rates on a new Subaru Forester during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Going on now.
Cool.
Great.
I think I also...
Yeah, what's Hayam up to?
He's up to his old nonsense again. So in the original set, like the very first time we see him, he's a defector from the Jeskai into the Sultai, and then like he isn't in the next time we see in Dragons. And so we kind of wanted to play a little bit that. If you read the fiction, you'll see a little bit more of what he's up to. But I also love that this mechanic both leans into his very plotting side and also the kind of time shenanigan weirdness of his character.
Yeah, and JD, we're not seeing other suspends.
No, the clan mechanic here is Flurry. This is the only suspend card.
All right. Next up, let's take a look at this Borderless Clan card. So we saw, again, this treatment in the debut. It's really striking. Striking, that's not an intended pun, but I'm going to go with it. Yeah, looks fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit later about where and in what packs you can find all of these treatments. Next, let's move on to Mobilize. JD, tell us about this mechanic.
Yeah, so this is the Mardu mechanic. Mobilize is just a keyword ability for your creatures. When you attack with them, you get a tapped and attacking 1/1. There's a parameter there. This card has Mobilize 1. There are higher Mobilize numbers in the set, and those will create more tokens, not bigger tokens. So
okay.
Mobilize 2, you'd make 2 1/1s tapped and attacking. They go away at the end of the turn. So clearly some aggressive applications, but it was really fun designing this, figuring out all the other things you can do with temporary 1/1s that aren't just getting more damage in. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here.
Yeah, and we've seen, Mardu has always been about attacking, so having the mechanic be based on attacking makes a ton of sense. How did you land on this token creating take on Mardu?
Yeah, going wide is just kind of like a key thing that we wanted somewhere for one of the clans. Mardu made a lot of sense. Needing to find an aggressive element for a clan to have and an identity to have that would also have some cool synergy applications so that it wouldn't be too fast and that the dragons also will get to shine and we're not being just beaten too fast in games of limited.
All right. Let's continue on and take a look at Renew. So this is Agent of Codus, 2/1, 1 blue for a human rogue. It has Renew, 3 in a blue. Exile this from your graveyard. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on the creature. Activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, you need Renew.
Yeah, graveyard relevant ability, very fitting for the Sultai. Just kind of make your creature stronger most of the time. I'll mention that this is not always +1/+1 counters, but it is always counters. So there are other ways to use this, and we'll see them someday.
Yeah, and I think in the debut, the counters, there was like Death Touch, Lifelink counters, and all kinds of ways. So the Renew always puts counters?
Yes.
Always on creatures or always on permanents?
Always on creatures.
Okay. All right. Lauren, who is, for those who don't know, we've got some pretty cool flavor text here. Who is Codus?
So Codus is the new leader of the Sultai, and for this card, we kind of wanted to reflect like one of the ways the Sultai maintain their powers is through a network of spies. So if you take a look at the art, this is a Sultai character like very clearly spying on a Jeskai monastery for the Fangkeeper, which is the leader of the Sultai.
All right. Next, let's move on to our next mechanic, Endures. Not Reach, as we joked beforehand. When this creature enters, so this, I don't know, this something Earth Carver. I don't know how to pronounce that. When this creature enters, it endures 3, which is put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or create a 3/3 white spirit creature token. How do we land on this, JD?
Yeah, so this is the Abzan mechanic. Last in Khanzatar here, the Outlast mechanic grew the creatures over time with a very endurance feel to it. We just went for that name this time, but kind of the same vibe, just a choice between getting a creature to grow your forces or for making a bigger creature here. Now we've seen enough of these that you can start to see some of the ways we're blending and having synergy between the clans. Endures is in some ways a counter mechanic. So if you play it with some Sultai cards, you can care about counters.
Yep.
In some ways, it's a go wide mechanic. So if you play it with Mobilize, you can care about having a wide board. So just kind of an interesting way of playing with a lot of what's going on in the set.
Okay. Now, chat's asking about, was this mechanic, did it come from Fabricate, or was it developed independently? How did you all arrive at this?
I would say it was developed independently, but we certainly design in the context of most of the things we've done before. So I imagine the people who came up with Endures had seen Fabricate before, and it's a bit of a twist.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to a mechanic that definitely doesn't draw 3 cards in green. And I'm giving Lauren a little crap here, but it's Harmonize.
I stand by my decision.
We'll talk about that in a second. All right, so this is Roamer's Routine. So this is the version of, you search your library for a basic land card, put it in the battlefield tapped, shuffle. So for 2 and a green, we see a lot of variations of this. But Jadine, it's got that Harmonize ability. First, let's talk about the ability, then we'll talk about the name.
Yeah, so Harmonize is the teamer mechanic. It is a flashback variant, a way to cast your instance and sorcery spells from the graveyard with the twist of being cost reduced by a power of a creature you control. So Harmonize is, to me, the biggest mechanical vibe shift between what we saw from the clan last, where Ferocious and Teamer really cared about big creatures. And here we're leaning more into kind of the spell casting part of that identity. Still caring about big creatures. It's really powerful to do this with a 4-power creature and only have 1 mana, but we get to see just kind of a different look at it. This mechanic's pretty fun.
Yeah. So, obviously there's some mechanical threads to like convoke. So couple questions people might have. Can you only tap 1 creature to pay for Harmonize, or can you tap multiple?
Yes, it is 1 creature.
Okay. And so it just cares about that 1 creature's power.
Yep.
All right. Okay, let's move on to Omen. So as a few people in chat pointed out, this looks like adventure, but there's some pretty important differences, Jadine.
Yeah, so we just looked at the 5 clan mechanics. This is one of the dragon mechanics, another very important part of Tarkir. So we wanted something for the dragons so they didn't feel left out and got to feel like an important part of the set. But why this isn't exactly adventure comes down in technical game design term to dragons. Dragons have very specific constraints, and we want to put a lot of the power of dragons into the creature side and let them be big and awesome. And when you do that with normal adventure, and I should clarify here for anybody who hasn't caught up, the difference is these shuffle into your deck instead of hanging out to be cast later. So you'll still, if you use the Omen side, still get to cast the dragon eventually. You just have to draw it again.
Yeah.
So if we did this as adventure, the dragons would end up getting to look a lot less cool. The numbers would be lower. They wouldn't be quite as much threats on the battlefield. Just how cards are balanced. This is just kind of how it plays out. So this twist on the mechanic really let us make the dragon part of these cards as awesome as dragons needed to be. And it's ultimately a solve for letting us put a lot of really cool dragons in the set by giving them some modality.
Now, and here we see the draconic version of this card, which is really cool. So I did have a question. So, it's got that subtype Omen, which speaks to what you do when you cast it. Is there anything in the set that cares about when you cast an Omen or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll wait and see that. We don't have that for a preview card today. But
there is not a lot, but there is 1 or 2 cards that care about the Omen subtype.
Okay, let's move on to the next mechanic, which is Behold. So we saw this actually a while ago in the first look. But Jadine, how important is Behold to this set?
Behold is somewhat important, I would say. I don't think it shows up as a lot of the other mechanics. So in terms of what's showing up, probably a little less. But it is so fun, and I just kind of love the action of going, hey, look, this is my dragon. And because I get to point to this and you know it's coming or it's already here, my spell is getting bigger. So what this does for the set is an incentive to play a sizable quantity of dragons in your deck so that you can have 1 consistently to show for these cards. And just kind of reward you for playing with dragons, some of the coolest things going on.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this is we're going to talk about throwbacks to the original block quite a bit, but this mechanic is a direct reference to a non-named mechanic in the original Tarkir block.
Right. The card I think about the most is Silumgar's Scorn,
Same,
where you
yep.
could reveal a dragon from your hand to upgrade your counterspell to a full counterspell. Very influential in the standard format of the
Yep.
time. Had some awkward tension at times, but we thought it was a really cool thing going on, and was awesome the way that format played out, where you would play decks with like 7 or 8 dragons because you wanted to power up your stuff, and we thought we could tap into some of that magic, get us some new technology here. On Tarkir, we're beholding dragons, but in the future, we could behold a lot of things. It's pretty nice.
Well, and much like Silumgar's Scorn, the 1 mana off on this one looks really powerful.
Right.
Like, I don't know, I can't think of another 1 mana black spell that gives -3/-3.
Not at instant speed.
Certainly not at instant speed, yeah.
If you always behold a dragon, this is a very powerful card.
Yeah. All right, and it's serviceable at 2 mana too.
Yep, absolutely.
We've played Last Gasp before. All right, our final mechanic is going to be hybrid mana, which is something we see now and then. But how does this play out in the set?
Yeah, so Tarkir is a 3-color set, and 3-color sets can be kind of challenging to play with. So here we're using it mostly for this two-brid thing going on and letting us make some 3-color cards that are a little more forgiving if you end up off a color. Just kind of as a way to smooth out your games and just say, all right, you are playing a 3-color deck, but you didn't draw your green source. It's okay, you can still play this a turn later.
And so obviously you have this as a color smoothing mechanic in Limited. What else did you do in Limited to balance out the ability to play 3 colors?
Mana fixing is one of the big ones. Speed of the environment is something we thought about a lot, trying to make sure you'd have time to stumble a little bit on your mana. Yeah, there's a lot of tools in the set. Definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution, just kind of a lot of little things to help make it easier.
Yeah. And then, Lauren, we've seen it a few times, but obviously we have the watermark here for the clan. Can you talk a little bit about how it was determined which cards got watermarks and which didn't?
Yes. So generally, we kind of looked back at what was done in the original set and utilized that as kind of our baseline, as well as other sets that we've had with watermarks before. So this was anything that was 3-color or had the clan mechanic. And then I believe our monocolor legends also have the watermark.
Okay. All right. On that note, let's move on to some previews that are more focused on world building. They're still cool cards. They're great. But Lauren had some stories. Yeah. Lauren had some stories that she wanted to tell. So we're going to go through a few of these, and we're going to start with Rite of Renewal, which, even though it doesn't have the watermark, is pretty Sultai focused based on the art and the flavor text. So tell us about this, Lauren.
Yeah, so one of the pieces that we had in this set is that all of the clans have this returning color. So for the Sultai, it's green. And we wanted, knowing that we were going to have more cards kind of in that returning color for each clan, to really bring that element to the forefront. So with the Sultai, it was a big shift away from, I would almost say like the sort of wasteful use of the dead. Now it's like the undead are very useful to us. And so this is showcasing the moment where they bring someone back so they don't lose that kind of knowledge and information that the person had.
Yeah. And so mechanically, obviously JD and the Sultai have a mechanic that utilizes the graveyard, but how focused on the graveyard are Sultai?
Fairly focused, I would say. You could think of it as a very graveyard-focused value deck. Just a lot of ways to mill and a lot of ways to accrue some value from getting cards in your graveyard, whether it's putting a renew card in your graveyard or a card like this that lets you access it later. Okay.
Now let's take a look at Bearer of Glory, which is a relative. It's a strong common. This creature has first strike as a 2/1, 2-drop. It can later on pump your creatures. This is definitely something you'll play in various aggressive decks. But it was picked out, Lauren, because it has a cool visual continuity with a rare card that we just saw.
Yeah, so similar. So we have green as the returning color for Sultai, white as the returning color for Mardu, and for that we really wanted to showcase their military, and that includes the army, the people who fight, but also the sort of supporting elements, both in the rallying cries of their bards to the standard bearers with their flags. And I just love the execution of this kind of two-piece art that is always wonderful when we can pull off.
Yep.
It's a big shout out to the art director and the concept around these pieces.
Yeah. Well, and JD and these two cards pair pretty nicely together on the board as well.
Absolutely. Certainly Bearer of Glory's one of the primary use cases in Limited is to get a bunch of Mobilize up and make a big attack and activate your Bearer of Glory ability.
Very cool. All right, let's take a look at a cat and a bird. So this is Rescue Leopard and Aegis Sculptor. Lauren, why are we looking at, I mean, they're adorable. They're cute.
I want you to say that to the bird's face.
I was mostly looking at the Rescue Leopard.
It's fair.
The Aegis Sculptor is good looking bird right there. But that's that's not why they're up here. Why are we talking about these two?
So the Aegis Sculpture is a really good example of, and JD kind of mentioned it previously with the Harmonize mechanic. The goal around that is really showcasing the teamer kind of magic and spell casting. And so we have a lot of blue teamer cards. And this is a really good example of kind of like the way in which they use their magic. And that was going to be a core focus of the clan this time, something that we could really emphasize. But they also still have a lot of creatures that work alongside them as a clan. And so we can see here with like the Rescue Leopard, it's not just any old cat. This is a cat that is kitted out and probably well fed. And just kind of is very clearly part of the clan so that we can kind of showcase that they have this sort of two-sided relationship between their magic, but also their relationship to the land and the creatures. And that is why I picked the name Harmonize. I know it doesn't technically draw cards, but it could draw cards. You could have a draw effect on a Harmonized card.
Yep.
I love the extent to which that kind of animal companion thing going on and helping spellcast really comes through mechanically. Like Rescue Leopard, if you think about the Harmonize mechanic, tap this to your Harmonize thing, reduce it by 4, get the trigger. It's so clean.
Yeah, there's a lot of cutie patooties in the teamer art, so look out for those ones.
JD, that was a really interesting call out on tapping being a way that works with Harmonize. I'm interested on Aegis Sculptor. So it utilizes and uses up your graveyard and sits in blue, and both Teamer and Sultai have graveyard mechanics. How does this one fit in?
Yeah, that is definitely kind of the overlap for blue here between Teamer and Sultai is just some amount of get stuff into your graveyard, whether it's a renew card or a harmonize card, and then have incentives to mill, and then other ways to use your graveyard once you're doing that. This also gets a counter, so it can benefit from some of those synergies. This one definitely is tapping into a lot going on in the set.
Very cool. All right, next, let's take a look at Undergrowth Leopard. I was saying before the show that I'm old, and so I had visions, pun intended, of Pouncing Jaguar from back in the day. This is not that. This is a different sort of cat. But why are we interested in this particular kitty, Lauren?
Yeah, so besides it being an adorable cat, one of the things that we see with the new Dragonstorms on Tarkir is that it is causing changes both to the landscape and to the creatures. So this cat is kind of an example of one of those perhaps was once upon a time a slightly more normal cat, but has now developed draconic elements to their design and their aesthetics. So we can see the kind of ridges and the scales along its back, and kind of this the effect of the Dragonstorms across the whole plane. And it has, the classic cat ability of destroying target enchantment or artifact, because even in the jungle, they'll still knock that stuff off your table.
Yeah, and this is another in a long line of bears that can destroy artifacts or enchantments. Those are often Canadian Highlander playable. I got to get my one reference in. But yeah, overall solid card and Dragon Kitty. All right, let's move on to the next set of previews. So we've got 4 different cards here, and again, people who played in the original block are gonna get some familiar vibes here, Lauren.
Yeah. So all of these are kind of, I would say, more flavorful callbacks to previous settings, and you can enjoy them without having ever played the previous Tarkir. But Riverwalk Technique was actually one that Adam Prozek, the lead game designer, originally put in the set as a very specific reference to a piece of flavor text from the previous set, which described a bunch of different techniques of the Jeskai. And I thought that was so wonderful, so we really wanted to keep that in as a card. The Watcher of the Wayside, we've seen this poor golem in multiple different iterations, so I wanted to make sure that they, we saw what they were up to this time, and they're having a day. We have our Summon Intimidator. Of course, there's got to be a Yeti, and then possibly one of the weirdest creatures that I think we've ever had in Tarkir was the ape snake, so we wanted to make a reference to that as well, and this one is a gargoyle, Karu City.
Yeah, anyone who played old Tarkir Limited, the Summon Intimidator, it's not the exact card. It looks sort of like it because there was an art through line in that one for Summit Prowler, I believe it was called. This is a different card, slightly different card.
It was also mechanically a reference to it as well.
Yep. All right, and then our final 2 world building previews, not our final 2 previews, we're still going, but we've got Seize Opportunity and Cruel Truths. So, Lauren, what are these depicting?
So both of these are showcasing moments from the side fiction. So we have 5 stories, one focused around each of the clans that go alongside our main set stories, so definitely go check those out. They're on mtgstory.com. I think that's the correct website.
Yep, that's
so we have the first one, Seize Opportunity, is from the Mardu side story, which the slight spoiler is that it features palace cat mounts. And Cruel Truths, which is from the Sultai side story, which gives you a little bit of a hint and information about what Sidisi has been up to since she has once again been ousted for power. She's just also having a day.
JD, on Seize Opportunity, that's an interesting combination of options on that modal spell.
Yep. We knew we wanted some card in this space that would be a team pump option to play alongside your mobilized cards. But we found that ended up being a little too powerful when we do like a full trumpet blast style thing.
Okay.
So to get something that was still fairly strong in the set, but more generally useful, we put it as a modal option on the effect here.
Cool. All right. Let's move into the section I just have labeled more previews because we wanted to keep going and show some more cards. This set is going to tickle the fancy of a certain kind of player, the +1/+1 counter lover. So let's take a look at Stalwart Successor. So a 3/2 human warrior with menace for 1 black and a green. Whenever 1 or more counters are put on a creature you control, if it's the first time this turn, then you can put another +1/+1 counter on that creature. So, JD, in other sets, we might have what's called Signpost Uncommons. This is a 3-color set.
Yep. So,
is this still a Signpost Uncommon? What role is this card playing?
I'll say kind of. So, if you drafted Khans of Tarkir, the secret to drafting the 3-color set is that you want to start your draft off in a enemy color combination. That gives you access to 2 of the 3-color wedges. Here, Stalwart Successor as a black-green card can play with the Abzan and be black-green-white, or it can play with the Sultai and be blue-black-green.
Yeah.
So you often want to center yourself in one of those enemy color, 2-color combinations, and then figure out which 3rd color you're going to incorporate as the draft goes on. So kind of a signpost. There is a lot of gold cards in this set, so I don't know that it's fair to say this is like a true signpost. There's also 3 color uncommons that we'll see when the set comes out that are probably the more classic signpost. But this is kind of showing you what the synergies you can tap into as the 2 color combination. Here between Sultai and Abzan, we have that counters thing I was talking about. You can endure to get counters, or you can renew to get counters. Either way, this card will be useful, and it kind of sets you up for a lot of different synergy paths your draft might take.
Yeah, I mean, often these types of cards typically are worded if you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, put an additional on, but this cares about any counter, which is a really cool bridge between those two. All right, next, let's take a look at Duty Beyond Death. So this is 1 and a white, an instant that says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Yeah, team protection, counter, very powerful at the cost of sacrificing a creature. That's a fair drawback for the efficiency and the amount of upside you're getting here. In this set, what would I want to sacrifice in my go wide strategy? Maybe a mobilized token that's going away anyway. Just very satisfying.
Yeah. All right, very cool. Next up, we have a card that is part of a cycle, and we saw another part of the cycle in the debut. So we have Corroding Dragonstorm. So this one in particular, and then we'll talk about the cycle. 1 and a black for an enchantment that when it enters, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life, you surveil 2, and then when a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. So JD, let's talk about the cycle mechanically, and then Lauren will move into what this is depicting in the set.
Yeah, it's really easy thinking about this set to get carried away by the clans and go, okay, 3 color faction set, I'm going to draft Mardu or I'm going to draft Abzan. I kind of know what those clans do. I know what their mechanic is. I know what the synergies are. But Tarkir also brings the dragon element, and we wanted every color and every clan to have access to tapping into Dragons Matter synergies. So this cycle at Uncommon, 1 for each of the monocolors, is just a way to encourage every deck to play dragons, and you will draft decks that feel like dragon decks more than they feel like one of the clan decks that are just playing a lot of dragons and getting really rewarded with these Dragonstorms, which can be very powerful and start to take over a game in the right spots.
Yeah. Now, Lauren, obviously the set is called Tarkir Dragonstorm, but talk about having these in the set for setting the world building.
Yeah, so with the set, with Tarkir, it is one of its really unique features is these storms. Much to my disappointment, dragons are not actually hatched, so there's no like cute baby dragon eggs in this plane. They are born fully formed from these storms, which is a particular facet of this plane. So when thinking about what is an ongoing kind of peril to the lives of everyone on this plane, it is these storms going from, I'd say, like the category 3s to like our category 5s. So these are kind of off the charts, very dangerous things that are happening that threaten all life on the plane. The clans, the people, the non-dragons. Really, only if you're a dragon are you happy with them. And so the storms were intended kind of pretty early on to be a feature in the plane, and they eventually settled into this cycle of enchantments, so we could just put this sick art on these cards and have something that felt very dragon flavorful and kind of show it across the entire plane.
Yeah, the draconic treatment on this really really hits home. All right, now everyone's favorite, we're gonna have a color pie discussion, Jadine, because our next card is not something we've seen very often. So this is Sunset Strike Master, 1 and a red for a 3/1 human monk. Those are all normal things. It's got an ability for 2 and a red to sacrifice this creature, deals 6 damage to creature with flying. That's, fairly par for the course for red. But it's got that tap, add red. This is a mana dork in red.
Right, yeah. The wild new thing about this card is that sentence is just tap, add red. It's not when this creature attacks, add red. You spend that mana only to cast creature spells or something like that. Mana creatures are unrestricted, new space for red. trying to push red to have more defensive tools and more ways to play a longer game. And that was something we had identified. We were having some issues with designing cards and getting all our colors to play the way we wanted them to. Color pie, is not a static thing. We make adjustments from time to time to help out gameplay. Red's always been a mana color, so this isn't a huge departure in that vein. We're just kind of...
Said rituals or like sacrifice this to add mana.
Right. Yeah. You shouldn't expect red mana creatures to outclass green mana creatures. Green is absolutely still first and foremost the best at this. And red will not be pushing into land ramp space. There won't be a red rampant growth or a red farseek. Red ramp here needs to be interactable, so on creatures. But yeah, we're doing more of this.
All right. So you said that it won't outclass green, but you did say this might be a sort of normal thing. Are we going to see this semi-regularly then?
Yep.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first. Red can just tap to add mana now. All right, now let's go back into the references that old people like myself love. So we've got Ringing Strike Mastery, which again, just visually and mechanically, is a callback to what, JD?
Yeah, the card is, oh no, now I'm going to mess it up. Singing Bell Strike?
You got it, you did it, yeah.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of the creative and visual callbacks earlier. This one is a very direct mechanical callback to a card you may remember from the first Khans of Tarkir. Just kind of an interesting shape for a common removal spell, not the kind of thing we do a lot. So it's very memorable, I think, just the very peculiar set of upsides and downsides on this style of effect. So we refreshed it a little bit. This isn't a straight reprint, different numbers, but still a very similar feeling.
Yeah, I played a lot of Singing Bell Strike back in the day. It cost 1 and a blue, and the untap I think was 6.
Yep.
But otherwise, it was pretty much the same deal. All right, I'm all about the callbacks. Makes me feel seen. Next up, another, at least there's a name in this callback. So Salt Road Pack Beast. But it's also got some both mechanical and flavor things to talk about here. So JD, let's start with you.
All right, this is another of the cards I would say is one of Play Design's favorite cards, this time for limited games. Just found this to be a very fun common. One of our many efforts to give Mobilize and those temporary tokens something meaningful to do that is not just get a lot of damage in. So you can get your wide board, deploy this for cheap, and kind of have tools for a long game. It also blends with Endure as another way of going wide in white, and just a really fun card to play with.
Oh yeah, chat's already talking about the pauper implications and how strong this can be, and if you can cast it for 1 white. But Lauren, they're also talking about why this isn't a camel dragon.
One, we didn't want to put the dragon type on anything that wasn't actually a dragon. And this one is more referencing, like, Tarkir has been kind of known for its beast creatures, so we wanted to stick with that in the space. I believe I did some digging at the time when picking the creature type to kind of see what visual similarities there were, and I was like, well, I'm going to stick with beast on this because it has all of these very dramatic dragon-like elements, but it's just a little weirdo, but it's a weird camel if you want to call it that.
Yeah. And JD, you may or may not know the answer to this because this may be more of a rules templating style question, but it's a good question that chat's saying. So we recently did do some erratas to give a lot of things affinity for their thing, whatever it is, when affinity wasn't there before. Why doesn't this have affinity for creatures, for example?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer to this. It certainly could.
Someone else will know the answer to it, but it may be a timing thing. That would be my guess, is that we made the change after this had all gone to print. But someone somewhere will answer it. It's a great question for Mark Rosewater's blog or us on social media. All right. Next, let's move into Yathen Tomb Guard. So this is 2 and a black for a human warrior, 2/3. The warrior type, even though there's no typal warrior stuff in this set, really, those who remember, warriors were a big creature type back in the day. But this one, whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Jadine, where's this straddling the line in the set?
This is going between the Sultai Renew mechanic and the Abzan Endure mechanic and rewarding you for some of those counter synergies, which is nice, one, because it blends the line between those two things and is just very useful as a way to let you play with a lot of cards. But it's also really helpful for the Endure mechanic, where the choice between counters on this creature and a whole nother useful creature can be a pretty lopsided choice in a lot of spots. So incentives towards putting the counters on the creature is always useful so that choice balances out a bit.
Yeah.
You noted warriors, so we have warriors and soldiers in this set, and there was a little bit of generally more of the soldiers are in Abzan and more of the warriors are in Mardu, just sort of kind of building the clan's flavor. But we had several edge cases, and I will say the line that me and my co-narrative designers were working on was basically like, how much main character energy do they have? And they became warriors. So if you're curious why this one's a warrior, I felt like they had very good main character energy.
They do have a lot of main character energy here.
That is really coming through from the art.
I like that.
Yeah, because there's no typal effects in this set, so we wanted to kind of use it more for a flavor and a card type match.
Yep. Main character energy. All right, next up, let's take a look at 3 cards together. Reigning Victor, Marshal of the Lost, and Purging Stormbrood, and you see that draconic version on the right. Jadine, these are all members of important cycles. So why don't you talk about kind of those cycles generally in these cards?
Yeah, definitely a smattering of our limited cycles here. This isn't all of them, but here's a bit of a taste. We've seen another of the Reigning Victor cycle before. This is a common 2-brid cycle for 3-color cards. A lot of attention on these cards to making them strong when you get to play them on turn 3, but not overwhelmingly so and not in a snowbally way. Want these cards to be powerful 3-color rewards, but not dominate the game when your mana works and still be useful later in the game when it doesn't, and taking advantage of the 2-brid mechanic. Marshal of the Lost, we saw the black-green gold card at Uncommon before. Here is one for white-black, another enemy pair, going between Abzan and Mardu here, so very go-wide focused and kind of the overlap between those two. So yeah, we have these at Uncommon. They can help get you solidly into a 2-color enemy pairing, and then you can figure out what clan you want to take 3rd color of cards for down the road.
And lots of main character energy with those two as well.
I see the warrior type. Here, and then finally we have Purging Stormbrood. This is a 2-color, again, always enemy in this set. That is the way that things work out well for the 3-color combinations. Of Omen Dragons that are multicolored at Uncommon. So just kind of useful cards that we're hoping you play in basically all of your limited decks that are these 2 colors, and just nifty things that can help get you cemented in a lane.
Yeah, I also think the interesting on the ability on the dragon side of purging Stormbrood is interesting. There we go. I got those words in that sentence in the order correct. Removing counters, not something we typically do, but there's a lot of counters flying around in this set.
Yeah, absolutely. Often not the biggest deal, but in this set with Renew specifically, a lot of potential to build up a monster of a creature that has a ton of counters and a ton of keywords and can really start dominating the game. So this is just a light little bit of counterplay and counterplay, nice. Letting you kind of take that away and punish your opponent for putting too many eggs in one basket.
Yeah, purging it.
And most of our dragon cards in the set, unless they're the 3-color dragons, are showcasing just the wild weirdness of the wild dragons. So that's what the Stormbrood's reflecting.
Very cool.
This is a weird guy. I love
He's a little weird guy, but seems pretty strong. All right, now let's move into. So, Jadine talked a little earlier about some of the challenges of making a 3-color set work. Let's take a look at some of the solutions. So, this is also sort of a callback to Tarkir, where we had artifacts that did something to help fix your mana. In this, it's going to be a monument cycle. So, Obs on Monument. When this artifact enters, search your library for a basic plain swamp or forest card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. It costs 2 mana, and then it's got an ability for 1 and Obs on colors to sacrifice this artifact. Create an XX white spirit creature token where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Activate as a sorcery, and we're going to see this. It's not this exact card, because that ability is going to change, but this sort of version of it as we go through these. So, Jadine, talk about these as important to limited.
Yeah, so, level 1, this is a pretty powerful mana fixing card. Just full on get a land for free. It's not going to the top of your deck. You're just grabbing it, fixing your mana. These are colorless artifacts, of course, so it doesn't matter what color you're missing. You can always use this, which is pretty important for a 3-color set. Green is, the best at doing this, but not all of the color combinations are green, and we want everybody's mana to work, so we need some of this stuff in colorless. This cycle went through a ton of iteration and different shapes, trying to find the most fun way to put power into these cards. One of the things we really wanted to do was make sure that the mana fixing cards both helped you in the early game and didn't feel bad to prioritize during the draft, and because you need to take them, and it's kind of like eating your vegetables a lot of the time when you have kind of not that strong cards that you have to put in your deck to make it work. So we thought it would be more fun if we got cards you were really excited to put in your deck that also helped you out. And I think we found a really nice spot here of a blend of helping you early, and then later in the game you have this resource that you'll have access to for some more creatures. Pretty fun cards to play with.
Yeah. It's always nice when your mana fixing then gives you something else a little bit later.
Yeah.
All right. There's all 5 for the cycle. All right, and then of course there's some dual lands. We went with some tried and true commons for this set. Obviously, JD and I assume these are relatively important.
Absolutely. You need a source of multiple colors of mana, help you play full 3 colors, or splash some of your 3-color cards for your 2-color deck. Either way, these will help.
Now, Lauren, we've seen these cards before, but it seems like the team always does something interesting with the art and the concept around them.
We love playing with art. One of the things that's interesting in the set is, right, because so much of the focus is on the enemy color pairs, so we really wanted to play off of the fact that there are allied pairs and enemy pairs. So on the allied pairs, we can see in the art kind of a moment of tenuous peace between the clans. So you'll see one member or a group from one clan in kind of another clan's area or territory. Like in the, I think the most obvious one is probably Tranquil Cove. You can see like an Abzan caravan moving through a Jeskai, like past Jeskai monastery. And then in the other cycle, in the enemy, really playing up that enemy side, we just see the aftermath of a brutal conflict between 2 different sides. And so that was very fun to kind of showcase the duality of what's happening on the plane.
Yeah, very cool. All right, and we've also got some basic lands in the set that have some of the coolest art treatments that we've seen in a while. So these are full art lands, but they're very draconic. So here we have the Dragon's Presence basic lands, and we're going to talk about where you can get these and the other basic lands in a moment, but yeah. These are gorgeous, and they just give you that shadow of the dragon.
They're always watching. You're always potentially a lunch.
And then the ones that got quite a bit of response, rightfully so, during the debut video, the Dragon's Eye basic lands. These are gorgeous.
Honestly, though, if you're this close, you are definitely lunch.
Yeah, you wouldn't. This is a rare view of a dragon.
Yeah, maybe the last one that you would have.
All right, and then let's talk a little bit about, let's see our next slide. There we are. All right, so there's going to be a Collecting Tarkir Dragonstorm article up on Daily MTG where you'll be able to get all the details, but here is the overview. So specifically on those basic lands, the Draconic Presence basic lands, the first ones we showed with the Shadow, those are going to be found in both play and collector boosters. You're going to get them basically anywhere you're opening packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm. The Dragon's Eye basic lands are going to be found in collector boosters. And then going down the list of treatments, Draconic cards, the treatments for any of the dragons and Draken related cards, those can be found in both play and collector. The borderless reversible, so those are the rare dragons plus Ugin that are the little baby on the one side, and the grown-up version on the other side. Those can be found in any. The borderless clan cards that we saw with Taigam, those can be found in any in play or collector boosters. And then in collector boosters, the Dragon's Eye basic lands, you'll find those. You'll find the extended art, which we do kind of every set. And then the various Ghostfire treatments, the Ghostfire and the Halo Foil Ghostfire treatments are going to be found there. The serialized headliner that mocks Jasper, that is going to be in the collector booster, and also very hard to find, as well as the Dragon Scale Foil. And then the special guests, which were revealed in the debut video as the ultimatums, as well as the enemy fetch lands. Those can be found in both play boosters and collector boosters. The difference is going to be the non-foils will be found in play boosters and the foils will be found in collector boosters. We've still got a few more things to show off before we sign off. So Commander reveals are coming up, but they're not happening yet. Real quick, you're going to see the Jeskai Striker deck revealed on 319 on Command Zone. You're going to see Mardu Surge revealed on 320 on Infrusuentus. I pronounced that terribly, I'm sure. Tolarian Community College will be revealing Sultai Arisen on 321. Commander at Home on 324 will be revealing the Abzan Armor deck. And this show right here next week will be revealing the Temur Roar deck. So come back next week to talk about that deck. But we've got a couple Commander cards that you love. They're in basically every set, but they got Draconic upgrades here. So we've got Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, and Command Tower, all highlighting Tarkir-focused art.
These were a lot of fun. It was tricky because there's no clan neutral thing to showcase, so we kind of just went with whatever was most thematic between each of the clans for the concept of the card.
And then another card that is sure to be a favorite. There's going to be a play promo that you'll see. Again, you'll see how to get this if you head to dailymtg.com. But we are making a Wastes version of the Dragon's Eye basic land. This will not be found in boosters. This is going to be a promo. There's no colorless theme in Tarkir Dragonstorm. No wastes, but we still wanted to make this because it's cool and awesome. And so that's going to be a play promo. Head to dailymtg.com to learn more about how to get this waste that goes perfectly with your Ugin deck. All right, and then we just talked about the reversible cards that show the baby dragons and the grown-up dragons. Well, Secret Lair wanted to get in on that. So there's going to be a drop called They Grow Up So Fast. That's going to be part of the Our Bosses on Vacation super drop starting March 24th at 9 a.m. And this is going to showcase some of our favorite dragons from original Tarkir blocks. So let's take a look at those. So again, these are reversible. You're going to get Dragon Lord Atarka here in full-fledged form, and then little baby Dragon Lord Atarka there on the right. So again, those are reversible. This is one card. We'll cycle through these as I talk through it. This drop is going to be available in foil and non-foil for $39.99 for foil, $29.99 for non-foil. Little baby Dragon Lord Dramoka.
He's so cute.
So cute.
I think this one's my favorite, though.
Colgan, he's learning how to use the lightning.
Yeah.
So this drop is going to feature the 5 original Dragon Lords from Dragons of Tarkir. Like I said, it's reversible. You're obviously going to play with the baby side. I mean,
It's objectively the correct side to play
it's
with.
objectively the correct choice. But you know what? If you want to show that they're all grown up, you can do that too. The art is by Antonio Jose Manzanato. And you can head to magicsecretlair.com to get notified for when the sale begins. Baby Silumgar might be my favorite.
Yeah, it's a pretty close one. I think
Yeah.
I'm still on Kolagon, but yeah, Silumgar's a good runner-up.
Yeah. So those are adorable and will be available March 24th. We do have one more preview card before we go. Before I do that, a couple things. As I said, next week's show, we're going to reveal the entire Temur Roar Commander deck, so that'll be a good time. Also, MagicCon Las Vegas early bird badge sales and ticketed play. That is all starting this Thursday, March 20th at 10 a.m. So MagicCon Vegas is always one of the highlights of the year. This year it's happening in June, which is a little bit of a different time for Vegas. The early bird prices are going to be available only until March 28th. So that opens this Thursday, March 20th at 10 a.m. All right, and reminder again, we have one more preview card, but April 4th. If you're looking forward to Tarkir, Dragonstorm is going to be your first chance to play at your local game store for a pre-release. This is going to be a big one, so reserve your spot early, and then it's going to come to digital platforms, Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic the Gathering Online on April 8th, followed by the global release on April 11th. And with all that out of the way, we couldn't do this show without revealing at least one Spirit Dragon. So for our last preview, we've got Tevel, Arbiter of Virtue. So 2, a black, a green, and a blue. It's Sultai. Spirit Dragon. It's got lifelink. It's got flying, of course. It's 6/6. Spells you cast have Delve. Nothing bad has ever happened with that ability before. And whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. So, Jadine, this card is wild.
Yeah, this card is really cool. I barely know where to start talking about it. The Spirit Dragons we took really seriously. This set needed awesome dragons to just show how cool they are. Everybody loves dragons. This card, it's a real appealing mix of upside and downside here. A card type I personally love a lot. But spells you cast have Delve, incredibly powerful line of text. There are so much nonsense you can do with this. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. You probably don't want that. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a Death Shadow kind of person and this is exciting. In some narrow cases, sure. But it's kind of counterbalancing the Delve a bit. And this is a 5 mana, 6/6 flying lifelink creature. You're going to have access to some life. This is the last time I'll get to say it this show, but this is a card playtest and play design found incredibly fun. Just really doing pretty cool things and just having really good games. Also, not my department. This is my pick for the favorite art in the set.
Wait, which one of
these? The main set.
The main set? Yeah, that is gorgeous.
I definitely want to give a shout out. So Alexander Ocharovsky was one of our concept artists on the push and was one of the folks who designed a lot of the Spirit Dragons. And so for Rochelle, the lead art director, had the original concept artist for the Spirit Dragons come back and do their final piece. So it was just kind of this beautiful continuity, but a really... all of them turned out so amazing. But
well, and I love
the
that
teal color.
Yeah, and I love that all three of these, they depict the same dragon, but they're all pretty distinct art styles, and so you can kind of pick and choose which one suits you best. All right, that's it for today. Previews are going to be ongoing this week and next as we learn more about Tarkir Dragonstorm. If you want to dive even deeper and learn more details about a certain part of the set, whether it's mechanics or how and where to collect certain treatments or cards, head to dailymtg.com. All of that's getting updated probably as we speak, if not already up there. Otherwise, thank you, Lauren and Jadine, for joining us, and thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Why did you stop being a vigilante? The line was crossed. I was raised.
For generations, the Dragon Lords ruled over Tarkir, crushing the once great clans under Talon and Fang. But now, the winds have changed, and a new age approaches. Together, the 5 clans sought to take back the skies by harnessing the power of the spirit dragons. But it was a power they could not fully comprehend. The skies darken with a new threat to Tarkir. It will take the combined might of the 5 clans to face what's coming. Sultai, Mardu, Abzan, Temur, Jeskai. Let those who summon the storm be the ones to break it.
Tarkir Dragonstorm is a new set that will transport players to a plane they may have visited before. One filled with action, danger, and above all, dragons. Tarkir can be unforgiving. Storms full of wild dragons tear apart the land, while the different human clans vie for supremacy and try to survive their harsh climate. But this harsh environment has given rise to heroes. Whether dragon or humanoid, they prove equal to the challenges of Tarkir. A return to Tarkir would be impossible without addressing the most prominent spirit dragon, Ugin. While Ugin, Eye of the Storms, was present on Tarkir, he reinforced and empowered the Dragonstorms, allowing the dragon's numbers to grow. But when Ugin departed to save the multiverse, the Dragonstorms began to weaken. The subsequent invasion by New Phyrexia chipped away at the Dragon Lord's already dwindling strength and allowed the humanoid rebellions to gain traction. The past and present collide as 5 clans re-emerge out of the humanoid rebellion. Their khans finally succeed in toppling the Dragon Lords by summoning spirit dragons to aid them. Unfortunately, the spirit dragons came with fearsome, wild dragons spawned from the storm as well. They fill the skies of Tarkir, threatening the 5 clans and the multiverse beyond. These Dragonstorms brought fearsome dragons to planes that were unprepared for them, wreaking havoc and demanding a response. And if there's one planeswalker who responds when the multiverse is in danger, it's Elspeth, Stormslayer. Following her ascension to Archangel during the Phyrexian invasion, Elspeth has been tracking Dragonstorms through the Omen Paths. She arrives on Tarkir, having found the source of the storms at last. But she quickly realizes that she won't be able to stop them alone. Narset, Jeskai Waymaster, is a former planeswalker who has risen to the head of her clan and spearheaded the summoning of the spirit dragons. Narset agrees to join Elspeth out of a desire to unite her plane. But the duo face a difficult obstacle in their quest to save Tarkir. Another planeswalker, Sarkhan Vol, is intent on stopping them. Sarkhan, with his profound attachment to spirit dragons, Narset agrees to join Elspeth out of a desire to unite her plane. But the duo face a difficult obstacle in their quest to save Tarkir. Another planeswalker, Sarkhan Vol, is intent on stopping them. Sarkhan, with his profound attachment to dragons, seeks to preserve the Dragonstorms. And he's not alone. Sarkhan is joined by an army of wild dragons, all with the same mission. Elspeth and Narset must overcome nearly insurmountable odds if they want to unite Tarkir and prevent the Dragonstorms from destroying all that they hold dear. All this dragon violence has imbued the essence of Dragonfire into the land of Tarkir itself, forming Mox Jasper. This potent card can be used to power a whole battlefield of fierce, winged creatures. Like the rest of Tarkir, the mechanics in this set will be a mix of familiar and reinvented. Behold is a new mechanic, which rewards players for their dragons. To behold a dragon, choose a dragon you control or reveal a dragon from your hand, and doing so gains an additional effect when casting the card. When Sarkhan, Dragon Ascendant, beholds a dragon, you may create a treasure token. Similar to how the adventure mechanic worked in Eldraine, Omen lets you play the instant or sorcery side of the spell before shuffling it back into your library. If you're able to draw it again later, repeat the process or cast the creature side instead. Cards with Renew can be exiled from your graveyard in order to put a counter on another creature you control. Renewing applies part of the original creature's ability onto a new target before leaving the game. Flurry is an ability which allows a permanent to gain an additional effect whenever you cast your second spell each turn. In this case, Equilibrium Adept gains double strike until the end of the turn. Mobilize allows you to increase your forces in an instant. This effect creates an amount of tapped and attacking 1/1 Red Warrior creature tokens, which are sacrificed at the beginning of the next end step. Hybrid mana gives you the option to pay a higher colorless amount if you're missing a color source in the casting cost. With Rakshasa's Bargain, you can either pay black, green, and blue, or use 2 colorless mana to replace any of those pips. You can pay 3, 4, 5, or 6 mana, depending on your combinations. The choice is yours. Sieges were a card cycle in Khans of Tarkir, and this set is bringing them back with a twist. Each clan is represented by 3 colors of mana, but these sieges only use 2. This can leave you with flexibility about which side you'll join. For example, here during the Frostcliff siege, you can choose white for Jeskai and go wide looking to draw cards, or go green for Temur and buff your creatures for immediate attacking. But be warned, once they hit the battlefield, you must declare your allegiance. And speaking of choosing between the clans, the 5 clans of Tarkir have weathered Dragonstorms and changes to their timelines to emerge with new strength. Each clan features a combination of old and new elements that will feel both familiar and refreshing. No longer under the thrall of the Dragon Lords, these clans have each appointed a humanoid leader, but they have also each found a dragon representative of their guiding ethos. The Abzan are a clan empowered by their connection with their ancestors' spirits. Their Khan leader, Felothar, maintains this connection through sacred kin trees, which link them to their predecessors. One familiar face is Anafenza. Found wandering the Abzan territories, this powerful remnant of an older Tarkir protects the clan from danger. Her card features the Endure mechanic, which lets you choose between +1/+1 counters, or a spirit token to remember the legacy of fallen friends. Beitor, kin to all, is the ultimate expression of the Abzan's ancestry, a collective consciousness made up of all Abzan past and present. This dragon is able to solve problems by drawing on a vast collection of knowledge and memories, making them invaluable to the reconstituted Abzan. However, Beitor may also be self-contradicting, as the many voices that make up this dragon do not always agree. The Jeskai are a clan known for their monk practitioners of the Way, who seek to achieve peace through unity. Divided amongst 3 primary monasteries, the Jeskai are devoted to using their knowledge of the past and belief in the Way to bring their plane together. They are led by the former planeswalker Narset, who is seen here discovering lost knowledge in the Jeskai archives, and using that magic to summon the spirit dragons to defeat the Dragon Lords. She knows that her clan is key to tackling the threat of the Dragonstorms. Shiko, Paragon of the Way, shares the Jeskai's vision of a unified Tarkir. She keeps an eye on Jeskai territory, offering advice and stepping in when needed. A fitting dragon for a collection of wise and thoughtful practitioners. She seeks to understand the goals, beliefs, and actions of others in order to best fulfill her role of guiding them towards the Way. Technologically advanced nomadic warriors, the Mardu meet any challengers with an all-out assault. The Mardu field armies of lightning-wielding fighters and archers to the chagrin of their enemies. This mighty army is led and coordinated by their great Khan, Zurgo Stormrender.
All right, bear with me here. I paused the video. Can you guys hear me now? Hello, hello. Check 1, 2. Hello, hello. Let's see. Okay, didn't save. All right, I see audio on my end. Can you guys hear me or no? Now you can hear me? What the hell, bro? All right, bear with me here. Okay. Check 1, 2. All right. You can hear me now. Weird. Yeah. Well, I had to like refresh. That's weird. That's so weird. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Okay, you guys can hear me now. Check 1, 2. Test speaker. Let's see. Okay.
Spirit Dragon Neriv, Heart of the Storm. He is the marshal of their forces, leading them into battle against the other clans and anyone else
Check
who might
1,
stand
2.
in their way. The Sultai clan dwell deep within the jungles of Tarkir. They survive by nurturing both the living through their efficient farms and the
Yeah,
dead
right,
through their
Caustic?
equally efficient necromancers. The Sultai have a deep respect and connection with both the living and the dead. The returned dead are given positions of honor and leadership, not servitude. With their stealth and cunning, the Sultai are not to be trifled with. Sidisi is a powerful Naga who has risen through the ranks of her people in each
Right.
version
It's a
of
powerful
Tarkir.
Naga.
Originally a Khan of the Sultai, Sidisi's authority came from being a vizier for the Dragon Lord Silumgar. Now that the old Dragon Lords, including Silumgar, have fallen, Sidisi has found a new path to power. She rules over the northern swamps
Nice.
as a
Yeah,
terrifying
I wasn't
undead
aware.
being. Once an unassuming human farmer, Kotis, the Fang Keeper,
Joys of a new
led
program,
his
you know?
village in the rebellion against Silumgar. Never wanting to be a warrior or leader, Kotis was partially responsible for Sidisi's fall. Though he was killed in the Phyrexian invasion, his people could not do without him. They revived him in a necromantic ritual and reinstated him as leader, a position he holds still. Teval is a symbol for the Sultai's rejection of the old ways. The tyranny of Silumgar has no place in their new way of being. Instead, Teval acts as an impartial judge, maintaining balance and arbitrating the clan's conflicts impartially. The Temur are adapted to live in the freezing cold and work alongside their animal companions. This clan has an advantage over others in the form of their Whisperers, who utilize the spirits of the land to predict the future. In their wisdom, the Whisperers have also selected the Temur's current leader, Eshki Dragonclaw. Ureni, the Song Unending, was brought forth to reconnect the Temur to the land they relied upon.
Jeez, a 10-10.
Deeply invested in the clan and the well-being of the land, Ureni provides counsel and guidance to the Temur, working and living closest with their Whispers. Ureni also acts
So it's
as
splitting up
fearsome
at least 8
protector
damage.
of both the Temur Whisperers and of the Temur
Nice.
lands as a whole. Their signature spell lets you send away uninvited creatures back to where they came from. It also features the Harmonize mechanic, which allows you to recast it from your graveyard by tapping into the powers of your clan. Craterhoof Behemoth is an exciting reprint.
There you
This
go,
beast
Craterhoof is back.
emphasizes that the dragons, the Dragonstorms, and other clans are not the only dangers players will face on Tarkir. As Eshki Dragonclaw of the Temur clan says, some days you wish you were fighting a dragon. Tarkir Dragonstorm features a commander deck for each of the 5 clans. These decks will spotlight the humanoid leaders of the clans, as well as their spirit dragon allies.
Huh.
This white-black-green commander deck is led by the Khan of the Obzon clan, Felothar the Steadfast. As a mighty warrior and leader of her people, Felothar turns your toughness into vicious attack power. To the Obzon, the best offense is often a good defense. If you enlist Beitor, Ancestor's Voice, as your commander, utilize life gain and life loss to buff your creatures and return them from the graveyard. Fitting for the spirit dragon who operates as a combined consciousness of Obzon past and present. The blue-red-white commander deck of the Jeskai clan is led by Shiko and Narset unified, a combination of the Jeskai clan's legendary leader and their newly incarnated dragon. This rapid-fire duo doubles your spells and stocks up on card draw. Elsha, Threefold Master, is another powerful commander in the Jeskai clan.
No spirit dragon for
Utilizing
them?
the monastic discipline of the Jeskai, this deck allows you to focus your flurries on multiple targets, boost your attackers, and leave nothing standing in your way. The black-green-blue commander deck of the Sultai brings the deadly cunning of this clan to bear on your enemies. Fill your graveyard to provide yourself with bonus mana and an army of zombie druids. Tival, the balanced scale, raises the dead to fight again. While Tival may largely serve as an arbitrating force for Clan Sultai, the mighty dragon is not above assisting them by reviving Sultai warriors from beyond the grave. Kotis, Sibsig champion, is one such undead member of the Clan Sultai. He continues to serve his people even after death, leading their undead armies to victory. The Mardu electrify the battlefield with this red, white, black commander deck. Boost your token production to burn bright and fast, then gain more rewards when they burn out. Another rebel against the Dragon Lords, the Orc warrior once known as Zurgo Bellstriker, successfully led his people against the Dragon Lord Kolaghan. Renamed Zurgo Stormrender, he currently leads the Mardu against any other threats that dare to cross their path. Zurgo has a powerful ally in the mighty dragon Nereeve, Crackling Vanguard. He represents the spirit of the Mardu, swift, powerful, and willing to strike at a moment's notice. The Teamer draw on the power of the land to field a green-blue-red deck, which builds up mana early, before filling the board with formidable creatures and bumping up their stats. Eshki, Teamer's Roar, was a skilled hunter and wrestler during the reign of the Dragon Lords, but the Phyrexian invasion forced her to take up the reins of leadership. Eventually, Eshki was named Dragonclaw. With the blessing of the Teamer Whisperers and their new dragon ally, Ureni of the Unwritten, the Teamer clan is teaming up with the Dragons of Tarkir to deliver death on swift wings. Ramp until you cast Ureni to summon a flight of dragons to descend upon your opponents. This set wouldn't be complete without a few exciting new card treatments. The thing about Dragonstorms is that they're full of dragons. Dragon's Eye basic lands combine mana with the might to give an up-close and personal perspective on Tarkir's dragons. Ghostfire and Halo Foil Ghostfire. The Elder Dragon Ugin's influence over Tarkir is manifest in new Ghostfire cards, special art, and card frames imbued with Ugin's ethereal presence. We've brought back the Halo Foil treatment on Ghostfire cards, giving these already stunning cards an extra flourish. Borderless reversible cards. Deadly dragons can have a cute side, even Ugin, with 6 new borderless reversible cards, each featuring a fearsome and adorable version of your favorite winged creatures. Borderless clan cards. Battle alongside Teamer, Jeskai, Abzan, Sultai, Mardu with borderless clan cards. Special treatments that unite each of the 5 clans across 57 cards. Draconic cards. Add some dragons to your collection with new Draconic cards, a flight of powerful dragons in new thematic art and card frames. This set is full of familiar elements that have been thoughtfully refreshed, and that extends to other classic cards as well. Keep an eye out for this set's reprints of the legendary Ultimatum cards. Eerie Ultimatum, Emergent Ultimatum, Genesis Ultimatum,
okay, all the
Inspired
ultimatums
Ultimatum,
for special
and
guests, that's
Ruinous
5 of them.
Ultimatum. These powerful cards require 7 colored mana each, but they are worth it, with effects that can devastatingly alter the course of a game. This set also includes a beautiful series of fetch lands appearing in the special guest slot: Marsh Flats, Scalding Tarn, Verdant Catacombs, Arid Mesa, and Misty Rainforest. These enemy color fetches bring unrivaled flexibility to your decks,
they are bringing
powering
fetches.
all your favorite strategies, no matter which clan claims your allegiance.
Interesting.
Get your hands on new textured dragon scale foil
Oh
fetch lands
boy,
that
there
bring
we
Tarkir
go.
to
I knew
life,
they're gonna do something. That's
exclusively in
crazy. I
collector
didn't think they
boosters,
would.
making them the
Still not
perfect
in
addition
standard,
when
but
enhancing your
as special
library.
guests makes sense. Wow.
You could also be one of only 500 people in the world to open an exclusive, serialized Mox Jasper card, rare even in Tarkir.
Okay, there's a little bit of a chase then.
Tarkir is now bigger
Nice.
and bolder than ever, filled with cinematic action, dynamic clan gameplay, and powerful new dragons that add lasting firepower to your collection.
I
You
wondered
can play
about that.
early at your
Wow.
local game store for pre-release, starting the weekend of April 4th. and on Arena April 8th. Otherwise, Tarkir Dragonstorm will be available everywhere April 11th. And if you'd like to learn more about Elspeth and Narset's battle to contain the multiversal Dragonstorms and defeat Sarkhan Vol, you can read the full story online now. Get ready for the new age of Tarkir. Join your clan. Break the storm.
All right, there's that. So we missed that. Let me see if they have the thing up from Twitch yet. Let me see. Don't see it yet. Okay. There's the gathering. So there's the debut. There's the official trailer. Hopefully don't get struck on music.
For generations.
Okay, we just saw that. All right, let me see if Twitch is redoing their thing.
By drawing on a vaping up their
We're going to spend some time talking about that
dragons that add last
stuff, and we're
Cast 2 spells. So
chat
Okay,
was
so
going
that's where we
nuts,
started off.
rightfully so, over some of those treatments. So we are going to spend some time talking about that as well. We're going to talk about mechanics. We're going to talk about world building. We're going to
you get your cards more. You copy the spell, so you'll get it right now when your second spell. 4 turns later, you get it again. And that sounds cool, but if you start thinking about it, once you get that card
That's
again, it
interesting,
gets really
'cause you
easy to
can
double spell
cast this,
every single turn. You'll get to a point where you have
second
multiple
spell, you
cards on
copy it,
suspend,
and you
and
get
you're just
4
kind of
turns
like,
later.
oh wow, I'm
Interesting.
doing this automatically. It just really pops off. It's very cool.
great.
I think I
Lauren,
also.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
what's
gonna say, I love
Tayyam
how
up
this-
to?
He's up to his old nonsense again. So in the original set, like the very first time we see him, he's a defector from the Jeskai into the Sultai, and then like he isn't in the next time we see in Dragons. And so we kind of wanted to play a little bit that. If you read the fiction, you'll see a little bit more of what he's up to. But I also love that this mechanic both leans into his very plotting side and also the kind of time shenanigan weirdness of his character.
Yeah, and JD, we're not seeing other suspends.
No, the clan mechanic here is Flurry. This is the only suspend card.
All right. Next up, let's take a look at this borderless clan card. So we saw again this treatment in the debut. It's really striking. Striking. That's not an intended pun, but we're gonna go with it. Looks fantastic. We're gonna talk a little bit later about where and in what packs you can find all of these treatments. Next, let's move on to Mobilize. JD, tell us about this mechanic.
Yeah, so this is the Mardu mechanic. Mobilize is just a keyword ability for your creatures. When you attack with them, you get a tapped and attacking 1/1. There's a parameter there. This card has Mobilize 1. There are higher Mobilize numbers in the set, and those will create more tokens, not bigger tokens. So
Okay.
Mobilize 2, you'd make 2 1/1s tapped and attacking. They go away at the end of the turn. So clearly some aggressive applications, but it was really fun designing this, figuring out all the other things you can do with temporary 1/1s that aren't just getting more damage in. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here.
Yeah, and we've seen, Mardu has always been about attacking, so having the mechanic be based on attacking makes a ton of sense. How did you land on this token creating take on Mardu?
Yeah, going
Yeah,
wide
you
is
still
just
prefer
kind
the
of
Spirit
like a
Dragon
key thing that we
over,
wanted somewhere for one of the
new one from
clans.
Ugin. Yeah, it's
Mardu
interesting,
made a
but
lot of sense.
would be good in colors. So
Needing to find an aggressive element
Ugin tribal.
for a clan to have and an identity to have that would also have some cool synergy applications so that it wouldn't be too fast and that the dragons also will get to shine and we're not being just beaten too fast in games of limited.
All right, let's continue on and take a look at Renew. So this is Agent of Codis, 2/1, 1 blue for a human rogue.
Okay, this is about where
has
we
renewed, 3
started.
and a blue. Exile
So
this from
I'm
your
going to skip
graveyard,
ahead a
put
little
2
bit
+1/+1
on the
kind of
previews.
creature. Activate only as a
Okay.
sorcery. Yeah.
Fine in the context of most of the things we've done before. So I
So these
imagine
common
the people who can
uncommons.
let us make the dragon part of these cards as awesome as dragons needed to be. And it's ultimately in the standard format of the
Yep.
time.
So yeah, the new
JD,
mechanic
how
on
important
these
is
guys here.
couple the draconic
So the big change up here is that it's not an adventure. So if you cast the skimming strike, you reshuffle this into your library. So it has a chance to come back up and repeat. Kind of interesting against Mill. But yeah, you pay either for the dragon or for the ability down below, and it gets shuffled into your deck rather than going to your exile field for on an adventure. So it's interesting. But at strength wise, it's interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead to the spoiler cards here. Let's do a quick recap. Okay, there you go. Ooh, we missed one. There you go. Right of renewal. So basically, the big hitter cards were shown earlier, and we're just recapping here. Okay. There's the undergrowth leopard. This Aegis Sculptor is pretty gnarly. I think that will do well in limited as well. Okay, there's the leopard. There you go. So, an interesting set so far. Really interesting that they brought back the fetches as special guest. I was wondering how they're going to do that because the special guests aren't for standard, but you'll be able to play that in limited. So that's interesting. Keep in mind, special guests, especially for the play boosters, will be very tough to pull. So it's not like you'll see everyone with a fetch at pre-release. But those that do, hopefully they get enough in their colors to be able to run it. Okay, what happened here? I like this one, Stalwart Successor. Pretty cool. There's the white card. There you go. Duty Beyond Death. I like it. If you sack creature, boom, all the other ones get indestructible and a counter. Pretty nice. There you go. New Mana Dork. Alright. Too bad it doesn't have the camel, as it is a dragon camo. I wish they did that instead. That would have been hilarious. Okay. Make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah, the Tomb Guard. Alrighty. Cool. Well, it's not letting me do my overlays right now. I do not know why. But we only have two spots left in a battle. We have the Play Booster battle, which is super cheap. The cheapest you'll see online. $15 to get in. Only one seat left. You get to keep 3 Play Booster packs of Dragonstorm, Battle High and Low to win an additional 3. And I also have 1 seat left in a new Super Play battle. It's 22, so you're actually paying retail on your packs, but the big upside is the high CMC. Again, you're keeping 3 packs. the high CMC is going to win a full bundle, which we will crack live. The low CMC will win a collector pack. And if your seat did not win high or low, keep in mind you could buy multiple seats if you like, but there's only one seat left at 22. If you did not win high or low, you will be spun off to win a collector pack. So we'll actually have 3 winners. And basically, it's really not bad if you think about it, because you're basically paying retail for those 3 packs with an upside of either winning a full fat pack or potential to win a collector pack on the low. And if you don't win, you still got a shot at a collector pack. So pretty neat. First time doing this battle on the channel. Again, we have the 2 spots. The play booster battle is $15. You do get to keep 3 packs. Battle for high and low to win an additional 3. And then the super battle at $22. That again, you get to keep 3 packs. Battle high and low. High will be a full bundle, and low will be a collector's pack. Again, if you don't win high or low, you'll still be spun off to potentially win a collector pack. So pretty awesome battles. Only the 1 seat left in both. So let me know if there's any interest. We've got to close that out here by the 24th. So if you got some change around, holler at me in Discord, or if you're not in Discord, feel free to shoot me an email at djlongerhairridge@gmail.com. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining me. Sorry it was a little late, but be on the lookout Friday or Saturday. I should have the new short up. The short will be a giveaway. I'm doing 2 per platform, so there'll be 2 packs, 2 different winners per platform. So we'll have 2 on Facebook. You have a chance of winning 1 pack there. You have the YouTube short. You have a chance to win 1 pack there. And Discord, there's a chance to win 1 pack there. And, of course, the paywalls, Patreon and YouTube channel members. You don't have to do anything. You're already in. There will be a drawing there as well. 2 separate winners from each platform. So be on the lookout for that. I should have it up by sometime this week. I'm hoping by Friday. Also, we'll be talking about all the current spoilers up to this Thursday on MTG Roundtable. Make sure you guys tune in. That is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as other MTG news this Thursday. So do tune in. And yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. And we will see you for sure this Thursday. Might be doing a special thing tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Probably sneak in an EDH game or 2. We'll see. Other than that, I hope you guys stay awesome, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.